Now the reason I mix these two shadow colours, just to remind you, ultramarine and alizarin, much more alizarin in this one, more ultramarine in that one, is so that I can get some warm and cool areas. You get warm areas in shadows where the shadow is reflecting, picking up reflected light, so usually immediately underneath the edge of the roof and where the light is bouncing off of other surfaces. Now if you look at the photograph, this is a good example of how shadows follow the contours that they fall onto. This is a lesson we've looked at before, because if you paint your shadow straight across the window, it will make it look completely flat, as if it's painted on the wall rather than being three-dimensional. So the shadow is quite low down the wall, and the wall and the window frame and this bit of wall here, the shadow will be at the same height. But on the shutters, because the shutters are in front of the wall, the roof isn't overhanging them by the shutters by as much as it is the wall. Therefore the shadow will be higher. So it will be higher over the shutters. And then in the recess of the window, that's set back, so that's almost completely in shadow, just a couple of little shafts of light coming down there. So it's quite a good idea to pencil those in before you begin, so that you can concentrate on handling the paint. And then I'm beginning with my warmer colour underneath the roof here. So fill your brush up so that you can keep this wash moving without fear of the edges drying instantly. I'm going to paint around the lintel and the shutters so that I don't lose the definition between the two. I'm going to change to the cooler colour now. No need to wash your brush out, because both colours contain the same pigments. And carry on down with this cooler colour, painting around the shutters and the lintel. So a big brush with a decent point will mean you can do all of this with the one brush. Now there's a gap between the gutter and the roof, which is just creating another little bit of shadow here. And here, but over this side, the shutter is casting a shadow down that side and onto the wall, because the light's coming from this direction. Okay, I'll go back to that when this is dry. Just keep an eye on any little blobs collecting. And with the cooler colour, I'm going to do the turret roof, because it's facing up towards the sky, and I can just pick up the other shadow and let the two merge, and just paint over that side. Go back to the warmer colour and run this underneath the porch roof, but then take it around the shrub there to get a bit of light onto that shrub. Warmer colour under here as well. Start to bring that down and then change to the cooler colour again. Now I'm going to also cast the diagonal shadow coming down here. That just goes behind that shutter, because the porch itself is casting a shadow. So this is attached shadow, and this is cast shadow here. So at the moment I've lost the definition between the two. You can't see where that corner comes, but I'm going to get that back in a moment once this is dried, by putting another layer over that cast shadow. And as soon as you start to put these shadows on, the sun begins to come out. This shrub is casting a dappled shadow over the front of the little porch there. Don't start from that point because that's not touching it, there's a gap. And paint it in the same way that you painted this foliage up here, with the side of the brush, just allowing those shapes all to join. I'm going into that area there, which I'm going to define right at the very end. Maybe change to the cooler colour where it's laying on the ground, and just make those dapple patterns slightly change direction on the ground.